Have you ever wondered why the skyline of New York looks so intimidating? Well, a major factor might be the spires found across the city on top of the towers of America's most famous architecture. And although they're seen from afar, not many people know how they look up close or what's inside of them. But that all changes today, so join me as we discover what's inside the spires of New York City. I'm your host, Ryan Socash, and you're watching It's History. Spires are amazing. They add aesthetic appeal, a sense of grandeur, elegance, and beauty to a building. They can make a building look taller and more imposing, which can be particularly effective for buildings meant to be landmarks or tourist attractions. They also embody symbolism for motifs such as religious faith, national pride, or cultural heritage. For example, a spire on a church may represent a connection to the divine, while a spire on a government building may represent the strength and power of the state. Spires often serve practical purposes as well, such as providing a structure for antennas or other communication equipment, or ventilation and air circulation in large buildings, especially if the spire is designed to function as a chimney. And when it comes to the stories behind these spires of New York, their tales are often as enchanting as the impression that the architecture presents. Starting with 4 Times Square, one of New York's most iconic office buildings. It was the first of 4 office towers to be built around 1 Times Square. Today, this postmodern building houses the headquarters of Skadden, one of the world's most prominent law firms. At the time of its construction, the Empire State Development Corps instituted a rulebook that set a minimum for the amount of signage on any facade facing Times Square, as well as a rule that each tower had to have a distinctive top to stand out against the skyline. With that in mind, 4 Times Square was developed by the Durst organization and designed by Fox and Fowle. Its height up to the top of the spire is 866 feet, and it houses 48 floors and 1.6 million square feet. This building was among the first towers of the 42nd Street redevelopment project and the first of its kind as a sustainable skyscraper, adopting several standards for energy efficiency, indoor air quality, tenant comfort, sustainable materials, and responsible construction. The late architectural critic Hubert Muschamp called the building, quote, a picture of commercial architecture at its most innovative. Now let's travel up to the top of this tower to see what's inside. This building is of a split design. The Broadway-facing side takes on the vibrant brightness of Times Square, while the side facing 42nd Street is more suited to the business community of Manhattan. Its top consists of neon signage and a cluster of technology. The building itself is a mix of various styles in homage to the combination of lives in the city itself. Once the world's tallest building between 1899 and 1908, the Park Row building served as a crucial part of New York City's daily newspaper industry and the center of Newspaper Row. It was one of the earliest skyscrapers with an estimated 25,000 people passing through daily. This tower was developed by Park Row Construction Company and later saw new life in 1971 as it adopted to the city's growing interests in other kinds of media. With this shift, it became a hotspot destination for music and electronics with the J&R store. Today, it is one of several surviving late 19th century buildings. Standing at 30 stories tall, a lot has happened inside its walls, as it was once home to the offices of the Associated Press news agency and the August Belmont's Interborough Rapid Transit Company. This building's incredible height and unique plan led to its implementation of many innovative technologies. These techniques included a unique concrete floor system for fireproofing, a pile and steel grillage foundation, and electric elevators to transport those who traveled throughout the building. The interior could accommodate up to 1,000 offices. Its roof is topped by 2 multi-story habitable towers, crowned in copper. Though they were not well received in their time, Skyscraper.org reports that critics called them, quote, insignificant terminations which add nothing. These lofty additions are perhaps more appreciated by the modern eye. The 40 Wall Street Corporation was formed in 1929 to construct a skyscraper for the Manhattan Company, aka the Bank of Manhattan. The skyscraper was contracted by the Starrett brothers in Eakin, who also owned the Starrett Corporation, one of the building's principal investors. Its height is 927 feet, which pays tribute to an unspoken requirement of the time, as a part of the famous race to the sky during the 1920s. During this architectural competition, it was set against competitors such as the Chrysler Building, whose architect had recently cut ties. The race between these two buildings was incredible and a hot topic in the papers, though it eventually resulted in a loss to the Chrysler Building after it was topped by its secret spire. 40 Wall Street suffered a series of misfortunes following its defeat, including low tenancy until 1944, almost 15 years after its construction. Tragically, in 1946, an Army transport plane en route to Newark crashed into its 58th floor, claiming the lives of 5 people.
In New York City on a foggy evening, an Army plane seeking a nearby landing field crashed into the 58th floor of this Wall Street skyscraper. Parts of the plane, bricks, and chunks of mortar fell to the street. Fortunately, New York's downtown financial and business district was deserted at the time.
40 Wall Street was purchased in 1992 by the Trump Organization for less than $8 million. From there, it was renovated and it started to see an influx of tenants. This gem is topped by a pyramid that is, in turn, topped by a large spire. There's also a public observation deck on its roof, said to be on the 69th and 70th floor. The spire also contains machinery and recreational facilities. 70 Pine Street, also known as the America International Building, formerly called the City Service Building, was built in the early 1930s by the City Service Company for the oil and gas baron Henry Doherty. Its unique, spire-topped architectural style comes from the fact that it was also built during the Great Race to the Sky. At 66 stories and 952 feet tall, this was the 3rd tallest building in the world when it was completed, second only to the Chrysler and Empire State Buildings. It was the last skyscraper to be constructed in Lower Manhattan prior to World War II, and was the tallest building in downtown Manhattan until the 1970s when the World Trade Center was completed. Today, it has found success as a residential building. Described as a mountain peak covered with snow by author Dirk Stitchwa, the spire rests atop a 67th floor observation deck. It is 124 feet tall and is made up of a 27-foot tall glass lantern and a stainless steel pinnacle extending up to 97 feet. It was equipped to serve as a beacon, seen up to 20 miles away. Also known as 295 Madison Avenue, the Lefcourt Colonial Building was one of the last buildings developed by Abraham Lefcourt. It is a 45-story tall neo-Gothic tower that is visible throughout the Midtown area. While the street-level retail space and lobby have been updated for the modern world, its incredible architecture and decor stands as remnants of a time long since past. However, it was not without its struggles, being auctioned off in foreclosure just 2 years after it was completed, as the Great Depression caused the owner's banking and real estate empire to crumble. However, it has found new life as a commercial office, and now 4 massive golden-tipped finials top the Lefcourt Colonial Building. They each stand at 9 feet tall, a picture of elegance in combination with the building's Art Deco neo-Gothic style. The Bank of America Tower, also known as One Bryant Park, was designed by Cook & Fox Architects as one of the world's most efficient and ecological towers. With a price tag of $1 billion, the 55-story tower was topped with an architectural spire and opened in 2009. When it was inaugurated, this was the 4th tallest building in the city. It represents a modern shift in the building's design regarding green buildings. With material efficiency, water and energy conservation, It is the first high-rise office tower in the world that has obtained a prestigious LEED Platinum rating. Apparently, its developers were inspired by New York's Lost Crystal Palace and the city's many iconic skyscrapers. In keeping with its efficient legacy, it contains a gray water rooftop system that conserves, recycles, and collects water, meaning this rooftop was designed to capture as much rainwater as possible and to prevent further runoff. And with such an innovative water recycling system, it's not uncommon to see plumes of steam rising from the slanted top of the tower. Now considered a signature landmark of Lower Manhattan, 14 Wall Street once served as the headquarters of the Bankers Trust Company. The building is 37 stories tall and encompasses 1 million square feet. It is an official New York City landmark and was among the first buildings to employ the cofferdam foundation system. The building was designed in 1912 by Throwbridge and Livingston, and a 25-story addition was added between 1931 and 1933. Even after Bankers Trust moved employees out of 14 Wall Street to new buildings, 14 Wall Street remained as a commercial space. Around 2001, there were plans to convert the building into residential condominiums. However, these plans never went through. No doubt, its defining feature is its 7-story stepped pyramid top, which the City Review cites as, quote, setting an important precedent for the development of boldly topped skyscraper towers. This roof was so distinctive that it even became the bank's logo. But this iconic topping isn't just for show. Underneath, it contains record rooms and 7 layers of storage space. Designed by William Van Allen, the Chrysler Building is by far one of the most famous buildings in New York City, if not the entire world. It was built between 1928 and 1930 at the peak of the race to the sky, competing against many other buildings for the title of the world's tallest building. It stands at 1,046 feet, briefly holding the title of the world's tallest building until 1931 when the Empire State Building opened. Walter P. Chrysler commissioned this building, and as such, many stainless steel automobile motifs were incorporated in various parts of the skyscraper. Its stainless steel spire, the same spire that was kept secret during the race to the sky, was unveiled to assure its victory. It is without a doubt the building's most striking trait. Should you catch a rare glimpse inside this spire, you'd see an abstract, almost labyrinth view of ladders, concrete, and crawl spaces. The view from inside is nothing short of breathtaking, if not dizzying, from such great heights. Undoubtedly, one of the most iconic buildings in the United States is the Empire State Building, remaining timeless throughout the years. Like the Chrysler Building and 40 Wall Street, it was built during the fierce competition to create the tallest skyscraper in the world. Upon its completion, its total height was 1,250 feet, but after the addition of a 222-foot antenna in 1950, its height reached a soaring 1,472 feet. This would later be reduced in 1985 to 1,454 feet after the antenna was replaced. The primary people behind this project were John J. Raskop and Al Smith, building on the former site of the original Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Its iconic spire, originally meant to serve as a mooring station for airships, is home to a private deck on the 103rd floor. The 103rd floor is certainly not for the faint of heart, and although its views are beautiful, they can be head-spinning. Beneath it is the observation deck on the 102nd floor, which is open to visitors who want to take in the sights. The General Electric building was built to create a presence for the up-and-coming Radio Victor Corporation of America, or more simply, the RCA Corporation, a subsidiary of General Electric, one of the most prominent electric companies in history. At the time, it was at the forefront of the radio and communications industry. As such, the building is decorated as a testament to the company that it once housed. With its sharp lines and colors, it mirrors electricity, radio waves, and sparks. This masterpiece was designed by architects Cross & Cross in 1931, who had a difficult task ahead of them. You see, they had to create a building for General Electric that would also blend in with the nearby St. Bartholomew's Church. Cross and Cross rose to the challenge, and the General Electric building opened to critical acclaim. General Electric occupied the building until it moved to Fairfield, Connecticut in the 1970s. The top of the General Electric building is reminiscent of a torch lit up by daylight, or perhaps even a regal crown. The sharp points and curves serve as homage to radio waves, and it's a marvel to behold at night when it's lit from within. And inside the upper floors, you can find a spiral staircase set in brick leading up to the outside of the crown, with a breathtaking view of the city below. Spires are not unique to New York City. In fact, we did an entire episode about what's on the rooftops of Texas's most famous buildings, and I think you'll be shocked at what we discovered. The news gets better. We actually have enough additional video footage from New York to make part 2 of the series. But if you want that to happen, let me know by clicking subscribe, join, and like. Also, show some support for photographer Max Tui, our dear friend and viewer, for providing the beautiful video footage found in this episode. His information and links are in the description. Until next time, this is Ryan Socash, signing off.